Hey, what's up, guys? Houston here. Look, if you own an LLC, let me ask you, do you know if you're operating it illegally? And so I'm going to say some things that you may or may not even be aware of that could have you potentially operating your LLC legally. Okay. Number one is operating as a foreign entity. Now, what I mean by this is that you may have set up your LLC in Delaware, right? Or you set it up in Wyoming, you set it up in Nevada, because they don't have no state taxes, right? Okay, now, say that you actually reside in California, Georgia, some other state, other than where your LLC is actually registered, all right? Now, if you did not register your LLC with the state that you're actually doing business in, then you are operating your LLC illegally, okay? And because you're operating it illegally, you can be penalized for that. Now, here's another thing of why I tell people that you shouldn't use a foreign entity, okay? And the reason is a lot of financial institutions, when you use a foreign entity and it's not registered in the state you're actually doing business in, it throws up a red flag. It can potentially make it more challenging for you to access business funding. Okay? It can actually stop you. And most people are doing this. They're doing this in hopes of actually getting access to business funding. But if you are not registered as a foreign entity with the state you're operating in, you're operating illegally. Okay? So this is why some banks will give you a hard time. All right? So that's one thing. All right? Not filing the taxes annually. Let me help you understand that so many people figure that, yeah, I got this LLC, but I didn't make any money. Well, even though you did not make any money in the LLC, you still, by IRS law, have to file. So even if you have zero revenue in the business, you need to file, okay? Now, not only to keep it compliant, but here's the thing about it. It would help with aging the business. So then if you decide you're going to actually utilize that LLC, what ends up happening is that because you've updated the taxes, you've been filing the taxes, hopefully you may have had an active bank account at least 90 days or more, whatever. It would make it easier for you to apply for like business credit cards and business loans. All right. So even though there's no revenue in the business, you should be still filing. Okay. Now, here's another thing with your LLC. Are you using a commercial virtual address? That's right, a commercial virtual address. And the reason that I say this, because a lot of financial institutions in a lot of states, if you're operating as a business, okay, and you're using a commercial address, this can also hinder you from getting business funding. That's the reason in the previous video, I asked you, have you did a virtual office audit? Now, here's another thing I want to tell you guys about virtual office. Now, all companies are not bad, but I want you all to understand about using a virtual address. Somebody prior to you more likely had that address, okay? And because they've had that address, they may have gotten business credit cards and stuff, and they may have dissolved the company but never paid those creditors, right? So those debts are attached to that address. Now, what happens is when you use that address and then all of a sudden all these negative items pop up on your business credit file and you're like, wait a minute, I never had this. Well, it's because somebody else used that address. As a matter of fact, now with banks, when they see that in the system, they will more likely deny you. And you're wondering, well, why did I get denied? is because of the virtual address. You didn't do anything wrong, but somebody prior to you may have used that address and taken advantage of those financial institutions, and so they have a database. So that's the reason I tell you, sometimes it's a benefit to actually using your home address, because that way they can't cross-reference using your home address with your business versus you using a virtual address. But again, just keep in mind, like with a commercial address, a commercial virtual address, this goes high up in terms of possibly getting you denied. But like I said, just using a regular virtual address, because other people may have used it, they may have defaulted and stuff like that, like with Dun and Bradstreet, which they are notorious. Any old debts and stuff that are using the same address, they can sometimes put that on your credit file, and you just started up your business. So that's something that you really have to pay attention to. Okay, now this here's another one: filing your BOI with Fincen. Okay, who owns the LLC? Everybody that owns the LLC, they have to put their information on with the Fincen, which is the IRS police. You have to register your information. Okay, plus you have to send them over a copy of your driver's license or ID. All right, so that's another thing. And if you don't do that, okay, say that you started your LLC this year, okay? If you started your LLC this year, they usually will give you up to 90 days plus a warning. Then once you get that notification of warning, and they let you know, hey, you know, you haven't registered this company or whatever. And again, I hate it. Hate that people even have to go through this, because the Secretary of State already has this information. But this is what they're saying. But not only are they trying to charge you $500 per day, but they're also talking about incarceration, meaning putting people in jail if they don't comply with this. So you have to be very, very careful in terms of dealing with these, especially if you have a registered agent and stuff. Now, some companies that are registered agents, they may charge you a fee anywhere from $200 on up to $1,000 to fill out this form. When you register your company using our service, we actually don't charge a fee. It's free when we do it, okay? But just so you know, that's something that you really have to understand. Now, another thing is when you operating your LLC legally, not having a business bank account, okay? This is also, and right, as a matter of fact, choosing the right business bank account. All right. Now, a lot of people, they may start with a community bank. They may start with a credit union. But I always tell people that when you start with those, just keep in mind, most of those community banks or credit unions, they may not be reporting to the Business Credit Bureau. So any business transaction that you may be doing, then they're not being reported. So you're not building up your business credit file. Okay. Now, another one is not filing your annual statement of information. Okay, every year you need to be going to your Secretary of State. It's a form you fill out. Some people that have registered agents, they charge them about $150, almost $200 for that. And what it is just states that you currently still own the company. You haven't changed addresses on the company. You haven't issued out any stock, any positions or anything. And you just update it like that. It's just a simple form that you file, but a lot of people do not do it. Okay. And one of the bigger things is a lot of people that set up LLCs, they never know what their operating agreement is. That's another one. So you have 7 different things you need to worry about to make sure that, hey, am I in full compliance using my LLC? All right. Now, if you have any questions about business credit funding, personal credit funding, removing negative items off of the credit, click the link in the description. Schedule a one-on-one consultation. Thank you.